This video is called, Is Your Ferment Finished? So it's a common question at this time of year in November in the Northern Hemisphere wine regions, and it's very critical. The reason you want to know if it's finished is you don't want to sulfur it too early and maybe have residual sugar left over in it that could re-ferment and start fermenting in the spring in your tank or in the bottle if you're not doing a filtration. So it's important to make sure your ferment is finished. And there's 3 criteria that I'll go through in this video that I use. So first of all is you're checking bricks temperatures every day during harvest, and you're smelling the wine and tasting the wine. And at this time of year, things slow down. It's a harsh environment for the yeast. There's a lot of alcohol being built up, and they're tired. But hopefully you have a good winemaking yeast, either naturally from your vineyard or inoculated, and it'll carry it through to completion. So if you're checking bricks every day, you're into the negatives if you're using bricks as a scale, or you can be using specific gravity as a scale as well. This is just 2 different scales like Celsius and Fahrenheit for hydrometry. And you're carefully looking at the change in bricks every day. So some ferments, depends on the alcohol, because that buoys the hydrometer up, might finish at -2, but a lot of times in Nova Scotia, -1.5 or so. So you're checking it daily, and sometimes the differences can be very subtle. So, and if you have a little bit of CO2 buoying up the hydrometer, it's not going to be that accurate. So sometimes my strategy is I hold off for 3 days, and then I look at the bricks level, and so you can get an indication of a trend if it's still moving. These are assuming that you've got good conditions for the ferment. So you don't want it to be too cold, less than -13 or less than 12 at this time of year. You want it to be more than that. So heat up your cellar, put immersion heaters in if it's getting really cold in the cellar in November. Also look at the ullage in the tank, and that's a little bit of a risk. So yes, you can ferment in any size container with any volume of wine, but at this time of the ferment, things can go sideways. You can get a surface film going if it's not full enough. So 10% of a carboy, I'd be careful, and just a very small amount in a tank, I'd be careful too. You want to be 50 to 75% full, so the headspace is chock full of CO2. The wine, of course, has got a lot of CO2, and that protects it at this point. So that's the first criteria. Look for bricks levels dropping. Second criteria is looking for activity. So you actually look at the surface of the wine with a powerful light and linger. Don't just look at it, oh, there's no activity, it's fine. Linger, take a very good look for at least a minute. Just stay up there and keep looking. Sometimes you can just have CO2 release, so bubbles may come up, but they're not. Activity. I have 5 levels that I use for my nomenclature, for my lexicon. I use active, obviously, during the ferment, slightly active, very slightly active, very, very slightly active, and then very, very, very slightly active, 3 Vs. And after that, there's usually no activity. So when it's very, very, very slightly active, yeah, it can be deceiving. There could be just some CO2 release in the wine, but you're looking for dancing of bubbles and a constant small bubble activity. So that's the second criteria. Look for activities, the activity in the wine. And you can do that in a carboy so easy by looking through the glass of a carboy and looking for bubbles. So you guys can do that with your portfolio wines. And then the next criteria is do a pill sugar. So pill sugars analyze the residual sugar, reducing sugar, which is fructose and glucose. And it's an old technology that was designed for people with diabetes, and now it's available for winemaking. At a much higher price now that it's winemaking. It was a lot cheaper when it was just go down to the pharmacy and get it, and that's just within 10 years. So the pill sugar, and I've got at the end of the video, I've got some good video of how to do a pill sugar. But the idea is to be negative, have no sugar in it. So once you cross off all those criteria, the Brix isn't moving anymore, and check it every, say, 3 days. No activity. The pill sugar is indicating there's no more sugar. Then you can sulfite it, and make sure that it's nice and warm and not too cold. Then you can sulfite it and stabilize it, and then you're ready for racking and further winemaking. Hope you enjoy the video. Bye bye. We're going to do a pill sugar on this wine to see if the sugar's gone down to 0. And what we need is in front of us. So we need fresh pills, test tube, dropper, the wine sample, and water. 5 drops of wine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll rinse the pipette or the dropper out, and 10 drops of water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then a pill. So now the magic happens. I'm going to open up. Okay, it's continuing. It takes a while to bubble up. There's some heat given off too. It doesn't feel hot yet. So once again, blue is negative, and green 0.25%, which is 2.5 grams per liter. 0.5% for 5 grams per liter. 0.75% is 7.5, and 1% is 10 grams per liter, and all the way up to 20. You can tell that this is blue. I usually look through light.